Today I'm going to share with you the truth about toning, how to get more from your workouts without bulking up, which is probably the biggest common fear I find from weightlifting in general. Thankfully, many of you have had good amount of training under your belt with me, or some experience in the past, so you know that there's not a whole lot of truth to that, but it's still a very common thought. So what do you think actually tones us? Would you say the light weights, 1,000 reps per exercise?
That's what I want.
Ab exercises and excessive amounts of crunches that we feel for days?
Yes.
Or maybe cutting carbs from our diet and maybe even our vocabulary?
All of the above.
All the above? There's some truth to that, but it's not what you think. So, it's what we're all aspiring. I'm going to entertain you a little bit through the process today too. So, we're going to have
Is that what you're trying to make us all look
This is our
like?
goal. This is all our goals. This is why people keep
That's
coming
what
back.
we all look like under our fat.
Oh. So, common things we say to ourselves or we hear others say is that lifting heavy will make me bulky. I'm going to tell you how Miss Jimmy Doe here gets more muscle than I do. It's not easy. You got to really try very specifically, very hard for that, okay? And I don't want to hurt myself. I can't lift heavy things. I don't want to hurt myself. Yet, when do we hurt ourselves? Lifting heavy things out there. Typically with a rounded spine, on the whim, catching ourselves, doing silly little things, picking a pencil sometimes, right? That says there's a root issue that we're not addressing if we're not doing strength training and lifting relatively heavy weights. My heavy weight may be 200 pounds that I'm picking up off the ground. Nancy's might be 120. It's all relative, and we'll talk about that. Myth number 2, high reps and light weights will tone me up. There's a time and a place for high reps and lighter weights. That's typically done not only in our strength training specifically, but also in our metabolic kind of boot camp style, where the goal is not necessarily the weight we're lifting, but the, anyone know the answer? Heart rate, you got it, perfect. So we use the lighter weights typically to stimulate heart rate response in that particular example. High reps will bulk you up more than heavy weights. Yeah, right? So, myth number 3, carbs are evil.
It really looks evil.
It's a good
It
picture.
does
isn't
look
it?
you, yeah. That's a good
So,
one.
the carbs are good for you. Carbs are the fuel that drives the engine that allows us to work hard. Okay? Who here has cut carbs from their diet at one point? Like maybe gone like Atkins. Anyone eliminated carbs for a couple days? How terrible did you feel? Exhausted, right? Can you imagine trying to come in and work out on 0 carbs? People do that. It can work, but it's extreme, it's unsustainable, it's unhealthy. Bottom line, fat loss does not need to be that painful. Okay? Use carbs at the right time, which we'll talk about, which you hear me talk a lot about in our gym. There's a carb timing, has a time and a place. Okay? And that's how we get more from our workouts, and we optimize for use of body fat for fuel. Right? Myth number 4, I need more cardio. Training, weightlifting 3 to 4 times a day is not getting it done. It's probably not true. Is more cardio going to help? Yes. But who here has more time than they need? I don't know anyone, right? So when I met with pretty much all of you, what did we start talking about? What was one of the first things after we established our goals? The next thing we talked about is how much time we have per week. Because there's no point in stacking cardio and doing all this excessive stressful things. We just don't have the time in it, right? Just like any goal, any process that we're working towards, we need to prioritize, that precious time that we have to dedicate to it intelligently. If we find that we have another 2 hours in a week, which sometimes happens, maybe on vacation, something like that, that's when you add in more activity, okay? Diet is a 24/7 focus. That should never change. That's what you have the most control over. And that saying that abs are made in the kitchen is completely true. Because I know people that train their butts off. They don't eat right. They cheat on their diet 2 to 3 times a week, right? That's where the magic happens, okay? Check this out. Just to give you an idea, okay? If you're afraid of low rep, like 3, 4, 5 reps for really heavy weights, relatively speaking, you have nothing to be afraid of. So this guy right here, not only does he probably use steroids, but he trains his butt off. And what I mean by that is that a bodybuilder is definitely going to train a body part. 3 to 5 exercises. That means I'm doing, for example, if I'm one of the bros in the gym, which I am, every now and then, I'm doing chest-specific exercises, right? Barbell bench press, dumbbell bench press, incline barbell bench press, machine press. I'm doing like those 4 exercises for 8 to 12 reps, for 4 to 6 sets, for each and every exercise. We're talking like 30 sets, 8 to 12 reps each. That's a lot for one muscle group. When we train here, do we train our total body for that many sets and reps? Usually not, unless we're doing more of the heart rate based training. When we're doing our strength training, no, absolutely not. That is one of the keys to growing mass. Does anyone in here want mass? No, right? Okay, don't do that. And I'm not gonna.
Maybe in my arm.
Oh, so now you want some? We'll talk about
Have
that.
Linda Hamilton Terminator arms.
Yeah.
So does that give you an
That's our goal.
idea? Okay. Has anyone heard of the movie Pumping Iron? That famous Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? There's some funny quotes. I'm not going to quote them. So that level of intensity per se is what you have to train at to create muscle mass, right? And women versus men, you produce less testosterone as it is. You're already at a disadvantage for even if you do everything right to add significant amounts of muscle mass like that. Okay, just to distill that myth, that misconception. On top of that, you need to eat 500 minimum extra calories on top of what your body needs to sustain itself. So let's say your metabolism, based off of height, age, weight, how well you sleep, and whatever you do throughout the day, maybe you sit at an office, maybe you're moving around, right? Whatever that comes out to, let's say that's 2,000 calories, okay? Let's say your body burns 2,000 calories to maintain where it's at. You would need to add another 500 calories in food to see any sort of muscular growth and do all those things right. Is anyone in here training one muscle group to that degree or extent? Does that kind of put in perspective what it really takes to bulk up? Look at it this way. You walk in any gym, there are guys, the bros, the college bros, right, that are working their butts off to gain muscle. So I want you to take the fear in the back of your mind that you're going to accidentally do what they're trying really hard to do away. Because I think you just saw the simple checklist as to what it takes, and you're at a disadvantage as it is to put yourself in that position, right? So does that help give you confidence in lifting weights, going heavier? Okay? There's a purpose to going heavy. As you can see, it's not necessarily building mass. Truth number one, heavy is relative for all of us. Okay? If the goal is 3 reps, that 3rd rep we can't lift it one more time. That's the type of weight that I want you to imagine in your mind right now. Whether it be a squat, a deadlift, picking it up off the ground, pressing overhead, whatever that is, okay? That might be 95% of what we can do one time. If we can lift 100 pounds once, we might be able to do 95 pounds 2 to 3 times. Does that make sense? Okay? Why I say it's relative, it goes back to the example of Nancy and me, okay? If I'm doing exercise A, whatever your favorite exercise is, and I'm doing 200 pounds, that might be my 95% that helps me get 3 reps. Follow me there? Nancy has the same prescription of reps and sets. Is she going to necessarily do the same total weight as me? She might do 80 pounds. She might do 60 pounds. It's all relative. Okay? This is how you get more from your training, when you intelligently select the weights to match the reps and the sets. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay? Heavy lifting makes you stronger. That's what it does. It will make you more dense. It's probably not your favorite word to hear, but it will make you more solid. Okay? Not puff you up per se. Heavy lifting demands that your body changes. Here's the biggest, you go into gyms, people that religiously go to take classes, they train with trainers that aren't very good. They keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different, right. They're burning calories, but they're burning less calories every time because their body's getting used to it. Okay? They're creating no reason for it to change. It's getting comfortable doing it, right? So that's why we vary sets, we vary reps, and we occasionally swap in and out exercises. Does that all make sense? Okay. Truth number 2, ab exercises will not shape your stomach. If you have 30% body fat and you add more muscle to your midsection, does that mean that you change your body fat? Not necessarily. Does that mean there's still a layer of fat on top that's hiding whatever pretty shape there is waiting underneath? Yes. So abs or the stomach is built in the kitchen, okay? In combination with the training we do here. Everyone here has the six-pack waiting underneath. It's just a matter of how we're eating, how we're drinking, that dictates that. Training has a big part in that. It'll make us more efficient. It'll increase our metabolism at a rested state. But the only way we're going to get to the belly fat is if we eat right and we do it the value. It has to be precise. It has to be a commitment. It's usually the hardest part, okay? Now, ab and core exercises should strengthen your core. I think everyone here knows the benefits of having a strong core, so you don't hurt your back picking up a pencil off the ground. That's given, right? Now, all you need to do is 2 to 3 core exercises to strengthen your core. How many do we usually do in here at a time? 2 to 3 core exercises. And you can work your core every day. Do you need to? No. When you're doing deadlifts, are you working your core?
Yeah.
Yes. When you're doing overhead presses and stabilizing everything from the shoulders down, are you working your core? Right? That's why we don't train like bodybuilders and we don't train like rehab patients in here. Remember, I think several of you have heard me say that before. We don't have machines in here because only the ones that need them, bodybuilders, looking to gain mass, fatigue, and muscle, 5 exercises, and also some of that core hamstring. It needs to specifically strengthen one isolated range of motion. Okay? So, truth number 3, the resting is essential. And this is something we're all guilty of. Okay? Who here rushes through the workout very quickly, very quickly, very quickly? Anyone? Has anyone done that before? So, let me give you an example. So if we lift at a true 90%, say the goal is 6 reps, whatever equates to 90%, okay? And it's 50 pounds, and we could do it for 6 reps, but we don't give ourselves enough rest. Are we going to be able to do that the next set? So we're watching our potential go down and down and down. What's that going to do as far as increasing strength over time? It's not, okay? How do we lift relatively heavy weights? We rest. The closer we get to that 100% of what we're capable of for 1 rep, okay, the longer we need to rest. When we're doing boot camp or metabolic workouts, do we need to rest? Not as much, because we're using lighter weights. Does that make sense? There's just an inverse relationship, okay? As the resting period, you know what I mean. Resting increases as the weight increases, okay? It has to. So odds are you're probably not resting enough. If you haven't really seen strength gains, give yourself more rest. So if you notice during, like for our group strength, who here has done group strength recently? Okay, how do we take that first 10 minutes? Is it a relatively slow, moderate pace? That's when we're hitting strength specifically. There's strength and there's endurance. It doesn't work very efficiently to try to attack 2 goals at once. Is that a one clear direction? No. Start here and you'll work your way down. Okay? That's why in our strength training sessions. Now with, if you're starting out your first 12 weeks, for example, and doing a semi-private individualized program, we kind of, fumble it all together. Keep your heart rate up and maximize your time here. When we're doing group strength, at that point you have conditioning, you have general strength, you move pretty well. That's why we break it up strength training, moderate strength training with cardio, and then we hit it really hard at the end. Remember that? Like a finisher? Okay? That's how you maximize your training. One way to do it. So, this is one of the biggest takeaways I want everyone to have here. Use your rest periods. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? When you're doing the lower reps, heavier weights.
So when we're starting out with something for our legs in our strength, and then we're doing arms, rest in between those 2, or that doesn't matter?
I'd rest more at the end. It also depends on your sets of reps. So if we are doing 8 reps, we need 30, 60 seconds rest at the end of that. Circuit training, that's where it kind of goes from that max strength and max endurance we're kind of dangling here, but it's still a very specific focus. Does that make sense? Okay? Versus trying to accomplish two things completely at once, right? So your never-ending goal. Every year we age, our metabolism slows. Every single year. I think it's after 30, right? So we lose lean muscle tissue. Does lean muscle tissue cost your body energy? Yes. So it costs your body more energy, minute to minute, your metabolism, to hold on and maintain what muscle we have. Does that make sense? It doesn't cost your body nearly as much energy to maintain fat. Believe it or not. That's why when someone's trapped in the desert starving, one of the first things that their body goes to is muscle. It's a less efficient way of survival, right? So that's why we have to fight for our muscle. We have to fight for strength gains, which is going to create and maintain muscle. Does that make sense? That's why it's so important, so important. You know, here's the thing. We progress as we get stronger, but not from doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's why I put that PR board up there. You know, whether you're doing your semi-private or your group strength, it's motivating to see what you've done, but also it gives you a relative idea of what to work from. Okay? So plan strength training, specific strength training into your program, and your goal with that is to not only get stronger, but increase your metabolism. Does everyone see how that ties together? Okay? So how do we build strength? Strength is built from our central nervous system. Basically our brain communicating with our muscles to fire efficiently at the right time. That's what creates force from our body against a load. Yes. Now, shape and tone are built from low, medium, and high reps. Has anyone been aware of your training program? How we go 12 reps focused, then we go 8 reps focused, then we go 10 reps focused, then we come down to 6 reps. Does that make sense? Has everyone here kind of dabbled in that at some point? Okay? There's a reason for that. It takes your body about 4 to 6 weeks to adapt to one focus. Okay? So when we do your individual programs, typically we rotate that focus every 4 to 6 weeks. So is it to say we should only do high reps? No. Is it to say we should only do heavy weights with low reps? You've got to do them all. There's time and a place. Strength and endurance, strength and endurance. It's all about your focus at the time. Does everyone follow me with that? So mass and bodybuilding is built from targeting how many muscle groups at a time? 1, right? And working to muscular fatigue, where you got that crazy burn going on, the pump, the blood's flowing. Just think of Arnold, okay? That's the picture you should have in your mind. So here's an example. Jane's rep in set goal is 4 sets of 6. She's doing 75 pounds on her deadlifts. Set number 1, she gets 6 reps, very easy. She rests 30 seconds and repeats. Barely makes it a 6. What did she not do right?
Not enough rest.
Not enough rest. She should. Remember, the lower the reps, the longer the rest. Well, it's not accomplishing one purpose.
But is there such a thing as too much rest?
Depends on the goal. So we're talking, so here's an example. If I'm doing 1 rep as my focus, I need about 3 minimum, 5 maximum minutes to fully recharge.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not asking that anyone, we never go 1 rep here. The risk isn't worth it. We usually go 4 to 6, maybe 3 to 5. So we're talking 1, 2, 3 minutes, and your coach can always advise you on the proper rest period. The point is, I want you taking some rest, because some rest is going to serve you better than no rest. It sounds silly, and it's very easy to say, well, I'm only here for an hour. I want to get as much work in as possible. Calm. There'll be a time and a place for that. I promise I'll kick your butt at the end of every workout. Okay. So, was the weight too heavy for Jade based off this example, or did she not rest enough? Let's find out. Here's what it should look like. Let's say she's doing remaining deadlifts. Everyone here has seen or done remaining deadlifts for the most part. Set number 1, 75 pounds, 6 reps. She rests about 1 minute, 90 seconds. Then she works into 85 pounds. She gets 6 reps, relatively easy. Okay? Felt like she could have done 1 or 2 more in the tank. Great. She gives herself another 60 to 90 seconds. and then she tries 95 pounds. She just gets 6 reps with very good form. What does she do? Does she necessarily need to increase again? No. Goal 6 reps. Leave it there. Last set, if she gets another set in the tank, she'll probably hit that 6 reps dead on or get pretty close to it. Does everyone see that pattern that I just laid out? I've probably taken every single one of you through something like that. I just want you to have the confidence in it and be patient when it comes to the strength training, okay? So this is what I was talking about, how we vary the sets and the reps over time. This is exactly what we do on the back end. When you get those crazy workout programs or you see a new group strength workout up on the board, this is exactly what's going on. So you can see the intensities or the volume, right? And you know, week 1, 4 sets of 6, week 2, 3 sets of 8. You can see how it goes 6, 8, 12, 10, and it's constantly varying. That's a more advanced program where it's changing every week. No one in here really needs that, but that was just an example. Okay, that might happen for you over longer term. We do something like this in our group strength too. I find it works pretty well. So does that give you an idea of how reps and sets kind of play together with your actual training? Yes.
Well, I'm kind of a
No
newbie,
worries.
so I haven't been through all of this, but is that, and you mix it up because you don't want to get on a plateau where you're
Yes.
Okay.
It is as simple as that. Your body adapts. That's it. The body will not change if we don't give it a reason to. So if your body takes about 4 to 6 weeks to acclimate to specific sets and reps, which is usually what we find when someone's starting out fresh or they haven't trained in years, perfect. Let's focus on 3 sets of 15 the next 4 to 6 weeks. Right? Now let's take it down to 3 to 4 sets of 10. Bump it up to 3 sets of 12. Take it back down to 4 sets of 8. Does everyone follow me on that?
But while you're doing that, you're changing the weight amount.
The weight should match the reps, right? And you're getting stronger over time. So that's why we're never very, black and white in the weight we select. I give a pretty good ballpark based off past performance. So when I design a new workout, I say, okay, what has she done? What did she finish with 3 sets of 15? If she got 95 pounds and 15 reps and we're moving to 10 reps, my bumper of 105, be a little more conservative depending on the exercise. That's how we gauge it. First workout, you might come in here, slap great, ate great, you might bang out 10 reps, first set, easy. What do I say? Put more weight on. That's the biggest takeaway I want everyone to have here. Have that confidence in why we're doing what we're doing, right? Little on nutrition. So I don't know who was here for my nutrition workshop. So when it comes to nutrition, okay, the purposes of carb timing and those crazy things I talk about is you want to be thinking your workout today is not going to help you drop a pound. Okay? It's an investment in your future. Will you burn some calories? Will you burn some fat from working out today? Yes, but that should not be your focus. What should be your focus during the training session is how you perform. That's going to set you up for the most success in the long term. It's that good old delayed gratification you get from working out. It doesn't change just overnight. Okay? Now, that's why a lot of us want to feel like we got something from a workout. And I understand that. But nothing comes before your nutrition. Doesn't matter how intense your workouts felt. If you're not eating right, remember, where are abs made? In the kitchen. Okay? And I mean that in regards to a flat stomach or reducing belly fat. So, eat something prior to your workout. What are my recommendations typically? Does anyone know in here? At least protein. And if that's not enough fuel for you, add some carbs in there. Okay? If you're not doing Whole30, like a peanut butter sandwich on rye bread, something like that. If you are trying to, focus on fat loss, it doesn't affect your energy, a protein shake would be a great way to walk into one of our workouts. About how long? 60 to 90 minutes before. Look at it this way. The harder you can work out when you're in these walls, the more it's going to increase your strength, which is going to increase your metabolism. See how it's that delayed gratification long-term benefit of strength training. Okay, it's not going to change anything overnight. And yes, you'll burn more calories while you're here. If you have more energy, you're going to have better workout. That should be your focus every single time. That's where nutrition, the fuel, comes into play. Okay. So how would I recommend structuring your day for weight loss and weight maintenance, tying in with performing during your workout? Protein, carbs, and veggies and fat should be in the morning. Okay, pay attention to that carb timing. Why do we have carbs in the morning? Does anyone know?
Energy.
Energy, but more importantly, what is low when we wake up?
Blood sugar.
Blood sugar. Why? What are the two things that drops our blood sugar? One is
Time.
fasting. So not eating for a period of time. What's number two? Intense exercise. That's why I recommend carbs if needed. Protein, eating anything is going to bring our blood sugar up. If we don't eat for 10 hours and we just have a piece of chicken, it's not going to spike our blood sugar like sugar would, but it's going to bring it up a little bit. Okay? But what's going to drop our blood sugar is working out. That's why it's great to get our starchy carbs in after when our blood sugar is naturally low. Does that mean we go and have to eat junk? No. But secret, if you want to have a bag of sugar, that's the time to do it. It's weird, as crazy as that sounds. Also,
You're saying before the workout?
After.
Oh,
after. So,
That's when you can have your piece of cake.
does anyone know why else it's important that we have carbs after our workout? When we spike our blood sugar, or raise it up drastically, or a little bit higher than just consuming fat or protein, what hormone gets released? Insulin. What does insulin do? The one purpose of it. Take stuff out of our bloodstream and deliver it to our cells. Okay? That's also going to stimulate recovery and muscular growth. So that's how you optimize your nutrition and match your training. And you feel better too. Everyone here has probably forgotten to eat after workout. How'd you feel? Blood sugar was low, right? Or even worse, you walked into a workout without eating. How'd you feel? Not very good. Yep. And then going throughout the rest of your day, it's not like you can't have carbs in your diet, but you want to focus on protein, quality vegetables, and some healthy fats. Does that all make sense? If you simplify down your nutrition like this, maintaining weight is going to be 10 times easier. Okay? Now, if you want to reduce body fat, you got to at some point count calories, balance your fat, carbs, protein. But this will get you most of the way there, assuming you're eating quality foods and no processed foods. Does that help give you a simple takeaway on nutrition?
But what's the ratio of each?
It depends. Depends. So I typically recommend, if you're trying to lose body fat, okay, obviously you need a deficit, more energy going out than coming in. I like to be more conservative with the carbs. Some people are very aggressive. I usually say about 30% carbs, 30% protein, 40% fat, and then scale back from there. Cut carbs. I'd rather see someone lose as much fat as possible with as much carbs in their diet as possible before they start chipping away carbs. So if you go down to 10% carbs, then you're just exhausted out the door, you're not as motivated, even if you see results, and it's not as sustainable. Does that make sense? So about 30, 30, 40 is what I typically recommend. Varies person to person. If you've had diet soda in your past, like I have, you're going to be a little more sensitive because your body's just not the same. It's not as efficient as it should be.
What do you mean?
Well, just having processed foods and flour-based products in your past definitely affects how your body metabolizes carbs going forward. You can build up. That's why someone that's obese, for example, they have such a harder time maintaining weight because their body has changed. It has actually adapted crap foods in their diet, and it's less efficient at maintaining body fat and metabolizing foods.
Did you say protein 30, carb 30, and fat 40?
I recommend starting there and then scaling back carbs and adding it to proteins and fats ever so slightly. Okay, just shift the balance from there.
Why more fat than protein?
Fat is going to give you the fuel that you need without affecting your blood sugar. Okay. More importantly, hormonally speaking, fat has more benefits as far as aiding in hormonal production too. You're going to feel better too.
And having the good fats.
Coconut, olive, avocado mix.
Avocado.
Okay. Nuts and seeds in moderation. Don't recommend going heavy. So how do you get the most? So how to get more from your training sessions? Constantly progress. Has everyone gotten that as a big takeaway from today? Push yourself through the weight. You know what you're capable of. We're here to help you do that. But everything can look good to us when you're training. You're moving well. There's low risk. But only you know if you got a little bit left in the tank or if you're doing enough weight. Okay? I'm telling you, just to be dead honest and straight up, if you are not progressing with your strength, you're knocking the most of your training, and you basically are wasting time. Okay, you're making things a lot harder on yourself. And it's very defeating when you come in here 3 to 5 times a week and you're not seeing changes. Give your body a reason to change, but we're here to help you do that safely and intelligently. Match your weights to the rep goal. You should not be using 15 pounds for 6 rep phases, 15 rep phases, 10 rep phases. That's a lot. Boot camp, whatever it takes to get your heart rate up. But with that being said, the weight is less important during boot camp, right? Because it's about this. But when you become stronger, you become more fit. Is 15 pounds going to have the same effect for exercise A as it did 6 months ago? No. That's why we bumped in boot camp or more conditioning work. Does that make sense? Right? So something that used to get your heart rate up very, very quickly and rapidly, is assuming you moved well then, is not going to do the same thing 6 months later. Still got to progress the weights to kind of keep catching up with your strength training. Okay? Use your rest periods. Biggest takeaway from today, I hope. So the most important thing with your training, what do we focus on here? Do we focus on the weight first? Or do we focus on how well you're moving? I will always, always, always take 10, 20 pounds off the bar if I start seeing back round, shoulders round. Does everyone see me do that in here? Okay? If you hurt yourself, you're not going to be training at all. None of this is going to matter. Okay? So proper and precise weight selection follows that. Does that make sense? So last few things. If you don't demand change in the body won't change. What I want for everyone here is to take away today that you have to progress the weights. If you don't progress the weights, you're not progressing. Okay? And some cool pictures I saw. Physical change starts with mental change. Everyone here knows I'm big on mindset as I am on, actual day-to-day training and eating right. Motivation and, self-belief, self-confidence, self-image, those things. I'll talk more about that with you later if you want. That's really what dictates whether or not you show up and you train hard. Okay? Be stronger than your strongest excuse too. I've been really pushing everyone here to show up for their training sessions lately. I've been calling those that have been missing, and I'm demanding that you show up on time and not cancel. Okay? And there's a reason for that. I want everyone here to raise their standards. You all deserve the best, but you got to give it to yourself. Okay, I think we all know that. Strong is a new skinny. And that's a cool thing to add on. So, any questions? What do you need to know from me to get more from your training? I think I gave you a few